All right, here we go with the episode 1149 rewind Q&A. Full disclosure, I've already watched the episode and I've already done the rewind. First of all, we're going to do comments from the shit. Where I see the comments doesn't tell me what the damn episode is. Okay, this is the 1148 Q&A. And that was a mess, by the way. I had been working a lot and, like I said, not feeling well, and just got a lot of different things going on. And these episodes are coming out every week. Seems to be coming faster and faster. I'm recording this on Saturday. The next episode's starting tomorrow. So, not that I'm complaining when we're going to be getting 3 month hiatuses, but I'm just saying it's coming fast. So what happened was I did the Q&A, edited it together, and then I was had like the rewind I'd recorded, the rewind. And then like a day or two passed, and I was doing some other shit. And I said, "Well, I should probably go ahead and get this Q&A rewind out for 11:48." So I exported it, and after I exported, somebody told me, it's just a Q&A, it's not the rewind. And I had somehow convinced myself I had spent the 2 hours necessary, because it takes about 2 hours necessary to edit down the rewind and put it in. I don't know why I was thinking, man. Like, 'cause it'd be different if it's like, did I export that or not? Like, that just takes 1 second to press a button. It's a long process to edit and rewind. So I don't know why I thought I did it, but at least this time I'm going to be editing both at once, so we'll make sure it gets all. So that's why it was separated. There was no way in hell I'd already posted the Q&A, gotten a bunch of comments. It had been up for a day or two, and then that's when I found out I was not going to make it all one video. But that's why it was separate videos. This one, as you can see, is one video. So I hope. All right, here we go. Matakoya. We're due for a new One Piece movie, so hopefully we get one soon. Shouldn't we know about that, though? If it's going to be anytime soon? Like, isn't the production process, like 9 months to a year or longer for a movie? I don't know. I don't know. I know that traditional animation for a TV series is about a 9 month process, a cycle, I guess we'd say. You write the script, 9 months later, the episode's finished, and there's so many steps in between. And then other episodes are also on the assembly line, right? So, as far as the movie goes, we should know that, I would think, at least a year ahead of time. And it doesn't sound like we do from what you're saying. So, I don't know. Hopefully we get one, but like I think we should have known that by now. Also, Matakoya, I think the anime should be doing more anime only scenes. Robin had a whole fight off screen that we didn't even see. It can be done, and I think they fear the end of the series coming and are reducing the number of episodes per year. Kind of like me, where it's like I wish I had reacted to the series slower, so I still have something to do. It is what it is. I can't go back and change the past, but maybe I wouldn't be doing 10 episodes a week. It just felt like I would never end. It felt like there was so much of this show. It felt like it would never end. So, I mean, they're probably feeling that same thing. I understand the feeling, is what I'm saying. Like, this is a feeling that's very relatable to me. I don't know what's going to happen to this channel. Like, the numbers are already starting to go down, and I'm kind of at a loss. And we'll see. We'll see by January, because by January I got to shit or get off the pot and find something new to watch, and hopefully something takes off. Now I know that Gentama and JoJo have been doing well, so we've got that going on. But I'm looking for something. Those both are similar in that they're a blend of action comedy, is particularly heavy on the comedy. I'm looking for something a little more serious. Now, you know me, I love comedy, and I don't want something that has no comedy in it. But I am looking for something more serious. I'm looking for something that is a coherent long term story, I guess I would say, because I don't know that you can make that claim for either Gentama or JoJo, and I know, like, I'm sure there are story arcs in Gentama that, like, are coherent and long lasting stuff. There is world building, there's lore, there's consistent backstory, but I'm more looking for, I would say, probably Continuum, which was a 4 season complete story from beginning to end, rather than X Files, which was a bunch of Monster of the Week shit that they kind of cobbled together, here and there. So I don't know what that story is. That's where we're at. So I do understand, why the studio would be a little nervous and they want to slow things down. And here's the thing too. I assume the author's going to do something else after the One Piece. We've talked about this before. And he said maybe he would do a spinoff, something with Gold Roger or one of the other pirates, or some history or something, depending on what else we find out about this world. Or he may do. I think he will do something completely different, completely new. Whatever he does, the studio's got to sit down and wait for a year or two so they can accumulate enough material before they can start animating. Because whatever he does is going to get an immediate anime deal with the first issue, but then they're going to have to wait and wait and wait. Right? It's going to take a long time. Man. If it was me, I would have a small team. Work every time an issue comes out. We start doing concept art. We start breaking stories. It's just a small team with 2 or 3, 4 people. Right? That wouldn't cost much money. And just start plotting. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Just start working on this shit. Because we've got 2 years before we can start animating this. So we might as well put a little work. I mean, I don't know. I like working ahead, but anyway, whatever he ends up doing, it's gonna get a deal with the very first issue, but then they're gonna have to wait 2, 3 years, since they want to be ahead of the manga, right? They want the manga to be ahead of them. Is what I mean. In 2023 and 2024, Odo released 32 chapters. In 2022, this is HIG, by the way. In 2022, he wrote 35 chapters. This year, we've had 31 chapters so far. It looks like we're going to get closer to 35 this year, since there's still over a month before the new year. This is what I was saying. So, if you're doing one issue per episode, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, you're doing 26 episodes, and he's clearing 32 minimum. So each year, he's going to get 6 more issues ahead of you. So what are you afraid of? What I would do is I would do the number of, if it has to be one issue per episode, I would do the number of episodes each year that he has put out that year, for chapters. Or you start putting more than one chapter in an episode. One or the other. They don't seem to be doing either one. This is HIG replying to himself. So yes, 26 episodes a year at a rate of 1 per chapter per episode, when the anime is already 45 chapters behind the manga, doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Instead of maintaining that gap, it would widen, because now you get less story progression in the anime than in the manga. Also, from what I've seen, the 1 episode per chapter comment is just fan speculation. Toei hasn't released an official chapter per episode adaptation rate. Or if they did, I must have missed it. They just said they have a minimum of 26 episodes per year in order to stay closer to the manga's pacing. So we can assume that what they mean is that they will be adapting more than 1 chapter per episode, maybe 1.5 chapters per episode. And indeed, the last 2 episodes combined, 1148 and 1149, have adapted 3 chapters. So, I mean, that's a good rate. That's more what I'm looking for. So, you get more story. So we can assume that they've already switched to a new pacing. This is a pretty big deal, because most of Egghead, up to the last 2 episodes, was either adapting less than 1 chapter or 1-to-1. And that was proven by when I read the chapter. Like, it was literally 1-for-1 for the anime, the episode. So, I think, if they've already increased the pace, and what are we talking about here? It's already settled. But, hopefully they do. Either do more episodes or do more in an episode. And like I said, what I would personally do, I'd do more anime-only shit but it's only what's been implied or referenced that wasn't shown in the manga, that, like the Robin fight is a good example. That was implied. It was there. We saw the aftermath. Then do it. Like, why wouldn't you do it? It's a fight. It's a canon fight. Just do it. Like, that makes no sense to me. That's all, at all. Like, you wanted delay anyway. There were certain milestones you wanted to hit at the end of certain episodes. You could have easily done that with some Robin fighting and cut down on the filibustering bullshit. Like, you would have only had to check back to Vegapunk talking once per episode until you're ready for him to actually say something. The coffee stuff is funny, but generally speaking, like, I don't understand that choice. That's a very bizarre choice. This is Marakoya. My favorite foreshadowing theory has to do with episode 18. 18, wow. That's really going back. Which is the episode between Usopp's arc and Sanji's arc in the first saga. The episode is about a character named... Oh, by the way, that time before Sanji joined the ship. Oh. So you're telling me the first 18 episodes of the series, we didn't have Sanji. Oh, it's so delightful. I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that time before Sanji. The episode is about a character named Gamon, who was a part of a pirate crew 20 years before the story begins, which is also when Roger gets executed. Gamon and his crew search for the treasure of the island and can't find it. But in the end, Gamon finds it on top of a cliff. But before he can get to it, he falls and gets stuck in a chest. The whole island has a bunch of, I remember that dude, has a bunch of weird animals on it too, that walk on 2 feet and are hybrids of animals and drink sake with him and Buggy. Yeah, I actually do remember that. I didn't remember he was. Oh yeah, okay. So it wasn't the One Piece. He was just there was just treasure on the island. That's what it was. Okay, so it wasn't the One Piece. But more importantly is that when Luffy comes to the island, he goes to the treasure and opens the treasure chest only to find nothing, and that they were empty the whole time. In the end, Gamon says his treasure is the animals on the island after refusing both Luffy and Buggy's offers to join their crews. So people have concluded this means that One Piece will be something along the lines of the friends we made along the way rather than any gold. Since Oda had Gamon in mind from the start, and that he originally wanted to finish One Piece in 5 years, people put a lot of stock into it. Boy, that is 100% true. I don't know if it's going to be literally the friends we made along the way, but it ain't going to be any effing gold. It ain't going to be, like, raise your hand. Do any of you watching this, a single damn one of you, think that the One Piece is gold, money, art that you can sell, or jewels or something? Do any of you believe that? Raise your hand. Y'all some dumb mofos. I mean, we can believe what we want. I'm just saying, man, nobody believes that. Nobody thinks it's gold. We don't know what the hell it is. I know what I think it is. But none of us know what the hell it is, and none of us think it's gold. So don't nobody believe that shit. So this is 100% true. This is true. Like, this was definite foreshadowing. Which, I'm glad you picked up on that, because I sure as hell didn't. Alright, and this is SWAT Gaming, with a 4 for the A in SWAT, First time Emu is revealed, the elders were talking about a great cleansing. It is now theorized that the flooding is a cleansing and it will kill a great many people. Well, that kind of settles that conversation, doesn't it? Damn. So, they want this to happen, is what you're telling me. They're not working the problem. They want this to happen. They want most people to die. Why? I guess I don't understand their motivations. Like, I don't really understand. Like, General Zod never made any sense in the second Superman movie, the Christopher Reeve Superman movie from the 70s. He wanted to come to Earth and he wanted to rule. But then he took over Earth and he's ruling and he was bored. He had no plan. He had no tax plan. He had nothing he wanted people to do. So what the hell was the point? The only reason you're there is so you can fight Superman and lose. It was weak writing. But there are probably people like that. Voldemort, what the hell did he want? He took over and he didn't do jack shit. So these people don't have a plan. They don't know what they want, man. So, like, I don't really understand the people that I want to rule the world. Okay, and do what? Like, what is the end game there? Like, what are you going to get out of that? Now, it could be I want to rule the world because I'm going to eliminate poverty, eliminate hunger, and eliminate disease. And this is my 27-step plan to do that. These are all the steps we need to do that people are too afraid to do. It could be Thanos. It could be kill half the population, whatever. That's a plan, at least. It's a stupid plan, but it's a plan. So I don't know what they're planning. Like, okay, so there's a great cleansing. They kill most of the people, and the water is up to the top of the mountains, and now we've only got 5% of the planet's surface is ground, and the rest of it is water. Okay? Now what? Now we're going to go play ping pong? I mean, what then? What happens then? What are you getting out of that? Like, we don't know, and we'll probably never get the answer to that. Because they're just somebody to be defeated. They're General Zod there so Superman can defeat them. They are a thing to be defeated. They're a thing to be stopped. The thing they want is so bad, nobody's going to ask the question, why do they want that? Why do they want most people dead? Like, so they don't want the power over people. They don't want to have dominion over people. They just want the world to themselves or to themselves and their small collection of people that they're going to keep in a zoo or whatever. And then what? What do you get out of that? To me, it's much more exciting to rule over a planet with 3 billion people because the population here is lower than Earth, and you have all these different things going on, and you can make all these decisions, and there's never a boring day because there's always some shit happening. That to me is entertainment. That's exciting. That's a reason to get out of bed every morning. You're gonna get out of bed because you have a population of 10,000 sheep who will never oppose you and never raise their head above the crowd, and you only have 5% of Earth to walk on, and everything else is water. I don't get it, and I don't think there is a thing to get. I think it's just characters are plot devices, and these characters, their purpose is to want something that we obviously just innately want to stop, which is killing most of the people on Earth. So that's the thing. But yeah, they don't make sense to me. Okay, that was 1148 Q&A portion. This is the 1148 rewind. Power Death. It also kind of makes sense that the celestial dragons live at the very top of the red line, which is like the highest point in the world, so they are the safest from the sea level rising. This is their sheep. This is their corral, their pasture where they put the sheep out. And they themselves, of course, will be fine as well. Yeah, that's what it is. So they've been seeing this coming for a long time, which is why they built this there. They originally located there 800 years ago, right after the Void Century. Is that correct? Or during the Void Century or something? If I'm remembering the timeline correctly, 800 years ago, they chose this place to live, which means they've known about the sea level rising for 800 years. Also, power death. In your cup experiment, what if you use your fist and put it in a cup full of water? See, this is one thing I didn't, factor in. The water is going to overflow because your fist is in there. Maybe that's what's happening in the One Piece world. Something is pushing the water up. I don't know. This is an interesting point, and it's something I didn't factor in because that is the other way you can get the water to rise. I don't know what that would be, though. What would it be? Because to displace that amount of water worldwide, it'd have to be something the size of Africa just dropping into the ocean. I don't know what it'd be, but it's definitely something to consider. It's something to think about. This is Jessica Christina, the one you didn't recognize as Saul. Yeah, as soon as you said it, I realized that's what it was. You can hear his characteristic laugh, which they all have one, right? The same one he taught Robin when she was a child. Yeah, you're right. I don't know why I didn't see that, other than senility, right? I always had this. This is also power death. I always had this theory a few years back that the Straw Hats would eventually destroy the Red Line. God damn, man. I mean, yeah, they destroy everything they touch. There hasn't been an island yet they've come to that hasn't been crushed to the ground. All the structures and people gone, right? They haven't destroyed actual islands the way the Black Hoodie has, but they've leveled the buildings. The structures have definitely been destroyed. So they did that. Dicks. You assholes. The hell you doing? but but the red line's a whole other level. Like you're talking about destroying a mountain ridge. I guess is what we're talking about here, right? It serves a few purposes. Laboon can get to the other sea and reunite with the whale ancestors. That's true. Four seas potentially merge at that point, that location, creating all blue. It makes sense. Which is Sanji's dream. If we care about that. Now with Vegapunk saying the sea level rising, I wonder if destroying it would help lower the sea level. Well, okay, so this kind of goes with your other point. Cut off the red line, drop it in the ocean. Red line lower, so that all gets flooded, and then drop it in the ocean raises the level of the water. So we're on the same page. I still don't know how that would work. Functionally. Mount Mohammed can move a mountain, but that's Mohammed. I mean, Luffy isn't Mohammed. He is a god, though. So I guess it's possible. Guess it could turn into rubber, and then rubber gets wet, gets heated up. It runs, and so they could just run into the ocean. I don't know. It's going to be ugly, whatever it is. Jessica Christina. I can't say for sure, but in my memory, in all the scenes where we return to Daffy after his imprisonment, someone high ranking is guarding him. So there's somebody there with him 24/7. Okay, so that makes sense. So he's there anyway. But somebody probably brought him a snail and said, "Hey man, there's some shit going on here. You may want to hear this." And so he said, "Okay, put it down. I'll listen to it." And so it just so happened that's where he was when the transmission happened. That explains everything. That explains everything. It makes total sense. They wouldn't want to leave Duffy on his own, and everything else follows logically from there. So I think you're 100% right. In this case, it's the prison warden, and in others, someone at least an admiral level. My theory is that Daffy needs to be watched 24/7 because of the danger he represents. He is a fallen celestial dragon and knows information about a hidden treasure location in Mary Juyas. He needs to be kept here. Maybe they don't want what happened to Sheikah to happen to him as well. The prison has already suffered too many escapes. Yeah, I think you're 100% on it. You're on it. That's what it was. Celestial Rise. Maybe Emu plans to destroy one of the moons or bigger island mountain range because that's a lot of what these islands are is mountains. Or ice continent, like you said, to make the sea level rise, thus sink. Might be wrong wordage or translation. Maybe she just plans to destroy every island, thus sinking and rising the sea level. Now, putting a moon in there, again, is what we're talking about. I didn't say moon. I said something the size of Africa. I think moon is too much. Even a small moon is just too much mass. Plus crashing into a planet. Now, we're not trying to do, Neil deGrasse Tyson physics here, but that would actually wipe out life on Earth by itself. But if, say, you take off some pieces and it falls one piece at a time from the moon to the Earth, the planet, that would definitely do it. That would be enough mass to rise the sea level. So that could be something. I can totally see that. I also like that you're not quite sure if Black Hoodie is a girl or a boy. I don't think it matters. I agree that we have no way of knowing, but it's interesting to see. It's always one of the reasons I exercise that kind of stuff in my discourse. You'll see me a lot of times. I will try to not make assumptions about gender and shit like that just on the face of it unless we know for sure. And the reason I do that is you close off avenues of prediction and theory crafting. If every assumption you make, you've closed off an avenue. So, if I make an assumption that Lisa is not the daughter of Joseph, then I've closed off an entire wing of speculation in my mansion of theory crafting, right? The door is locked. We can't go in there. Make as few assumptions as possible. It doesn't matter what gender this person is, but you don't know what you're closing off by assuming one thing or the other, one gender or the other. You can be closing off an entire avenue of speculation. Like, for instance, somebody asked me what I think the portrait is. It's not here because I'm seeing all the comments. It may be in the actual episode reaction. We don't know. It could be a mother. It could be a spouse. It could be a sister. It could be a daughter. But if we assume it's a dude, we might make an assumption spouse. Okay, that's his wife. Which, I don't think they don't have a single gay. Well, I won't say they don't have a single gay character. That's not true. None of our main characters that we see a lot are gay. We'll just put it that way. There are gay characters, obviously, but none of the main characters we see are gay. Not explicitly stated. You could go there with Nami, probably. But I don't think that, I don't think they're going to do that with, I just don't think that the author's going to do that. Like, have Black Hoodie be gay, for instance. So, if that's true, again, I'm not making an assumption, it's just speculation. He could be gay. But if that's true, though, then his gender matters insofar as what we can assume the relationship with the person in the portrait is. So, you see, if you start assuming a gender, you are closing off an avenue of speculation, and you could be instantly wrong just because you made one assumption. So I try not to make any assumptions. I try to be as open-minded as literally possible, which means everything's on the table. Somebody asked me who I thought was in the portrait. I'm not seeing it now. I've looked at everything. Well, maybe it was the episode 49. Let's go and do the episode 49 Q&A as well. And then, when I react to 50, I will just have comments for this video to do. So that makes sense. We can do that. Kismic. I think the reason why Riley doesn't act on anything is because he might know more about what's to come. If you remember in Odin's flashback after finding the One Piece, Roger mentioned we were too early. Now see, that is a I don't know what the hell that means. I'm sure it'll make sense in context once we get there, but I can't speculate. I don't know. I can't wrap my mind around that comment. Like, what would matter? What it could be that would matter that the timing that you're too early. I don't understand. So we're going to have to sit on that one. So perhaps Raleigh is waiting for some sort of prophecy or something else to line up before making any action. I think you could be onto something. Like, I had forgotten about the we were too early thing. Maybe you're right. That's not what he's saying, though. What he's saying is the young people should find out things for themselves. That is patently on the face idiotic when we're talking about saving the world. But he could just be saying one thing, but really what's holding back is something completely different. So he's being held back, so now he's trying to rationalize it. Yeah, let young people figure it out for themselves, I guess. I can see that. That does make sense. But that's assuming he does want to do anything about it. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe he's a complete sociopath. It's like, F humanity. They can all die. I don't care. Adding to this, maybe Raleigh saying don't spoil it for the youth is meaning he doesn't want Vegapunk to spoil the story of the Void Century and Joy Boy to everyone because he wants whoever finds the One Piece and connects all the Poneglyphs together to enjoy the story they found out through their own efforts. Or it's just the purest form of spoilers of what happened, since Roger did mention after finding the One Piece during Odin's flashback. Oh, Joy Boy, I wish I had been there in your time. This is quite a treasure you've left behind. A tale full of laughs. Well, you know, One Piece is a tale full of laughs. Imagine this entire manga/anime story is in a box waiting for somebody to find it. One person to find it. You get to enjoy the story. That's it. The one person. Wouldn't that be something? That's kind of what we're talking about here, I think. But again, I hear what you're saying. 100% hear what you're saying. We're trying to save the effing world here, man. There's no excuse. Look, if he's a sociopath and he don't give a shit about 3 billion or however many people are alive in the world, if he don't care that they're all going to die, if he literally just doesn't care, fine. Okay, you're an asshole. But do we believe that? He seems to care. So his shit doesn't make sense. He's drunk. He's a drunk old man. Those are two reasons why it's okay that it doesn't make sense. But it doesn't make sense. You know, you can't care about other people living and dying and at the same time be like, they should find it at their own pace, even if it's too late after they find it. F you. You know what I'm saying? It's just, the stakes are too high. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You know, and that's what he's trying to do. The stakes are too high to have this attitude. So the treasure in itself could be the story that Joy Boy left, so Vegapunk revealing it ruins the whole point of searching for it. I understand it, like I said. Any other circumstances, I'd be 100% behind this. Back when he had a conversation where he offered to tell them and Luffy said no, I was okay with that. I had no problem with that. We weren't trying to save the damn world back then. Now it matters. So that's all I'm saying. Also, it's interesting that how as soon as Shanks sees Luffy's new bounty poster with his Gear 5 form, does he then decide that it's the right time to try to go for the One Piece? Yeah, I think that, like, you know, maybe you can't fully utilize or take advantage of what's in the One Piece until we get Joy Boy back. Now he's back. Now the time is right. Maybe that's what that meant. This is a great comment. This could potentially unlock everything the story's trying to do here. Because we were too early because we don't have a Joy Boy yet. Now we do. So that's why Shanks... So, in other words, Shanks wasn't there on the beach. He was back with Buggy. So how much does Shanks actually know? Now, obviously, you know, people can talk. The crew comes back. He's close to the crew. They could clearly have told him, but we don't know that for sure. The only people we know for sure know what the One Piece is are the people we saw standing there on the beach with Gold Roger. So we don't exactly know how much Shanks knows. Also, Kismic. Also, there was a hint at the very start of the arc that the snail would be in the robot, since when we first see Vegapunk, he's inside the robot, which makes us think he's probably doing some work on it. But in reality, what he's most likely doing is hiding the snail. You're 100% right. That is brilliant. You're right. That's exactly what he's doing. He almost got caught with his hand in the snail jar, didn't he? If they had seen him walking up to the robot with the snail in his hand, game over. We would all know where it was. So he lucked out. But yeah, that's the timing. Like, this timing has been very tight, man. The recording just a couple days ago, hiding it just a couple days ago, and now here it is. Like, yeah, wild. It's wild how close he came to this never even transpiring. He didn't have to sit on that recording long, that's for sure. HIG. The previous island that got destroyed that someone reminded you about might have been the God Valley. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Which is the island where the world nobles held their native hunting competition 38 years ago. You dicks. And that when Kuma escaped from the world government as a child and Roger and Garp fought against rocks. We don't really know what happened there, but we know a little bit, right? Who was the captain of the crew made up of young Big Mom, Kato, and Whitebeard? But here's the thing we don't know. How God Valley disappeared, and we don't know if it was destroyed or not. It could just disappear in a puff of smoke, right? I think it was destroyed. But, maybe it did. Maybe it's just a puff of Batman smoke and it's gone, right? Unplottable. Maybe nobody can get back. Kind of like where the One Piece is. It's unplottable, right? But here's the thing. We don't know how God Valley disappeared, and we don't know if it was destroyed or not. Since the world government didn't have the Mother Flame back then, we can assume that Emu would not have been able to use his ancient weapon. We can assume that, but we can also assume it's possible he had enough battery life, enough power accumulated maybe over centuries to fire it once. And now what he wants is he wants a repeater. He wants to be able to fire it anytime he wants to at any place on Earth, right? It could slowly charge, and every 400 years you can use it once. So I don't know that we can assume he couldn't use it before the Mother Flame. We just know the Mother Flame is a power source that, I don't know if it's been stated that you can use the Mother Flame more than once to fire the weapon, but they stole one piece of it and have already used it once. And that was probably a test fire. And maybe that one piece was burned up. No pun intended with one piece. One segment of it. One segment of it probably was burned up. Was consumed by using the weapon. But that was one segment. Now you've got the rest of the Mother Flame, which is what they want to preserve, so they need it, right? I think you could assume it could slowly accumulate power over the centuries, but he doesn't want to wait that long. So it could still be the weapon that destroyed God Valley. But you're right, we don't know. All we know is that it disappeared without a trace. But we don't know if it means it was erased from the world maps or if it was nuked, buster called. I don't think a buster call is going to really wipe out an island. It'll wipe out the structures on an island. It'll kill every human, any animal on the island. But it's not going to eliminate the rock, right? They're just cannonballs. So, yeah, I mean, it would have to be like the Mother Flame weapon, or maybe it just became unplottable. It's like there's a bubble around it. It could be trapped in a time loop or something. There's just, if you put something in a time loop, nobody can get there because they can't cross the barrier of time, right? Like just something like that. I've seen that in stories. So it could be something like that. We haven't done a time loop story. I don't know if we will, but he seems to like time, science fiction conventions, just like he likes fantasy conventions. We could see a time loop story at some point. That'd be interesting. Kuma, Ivankov, and Jenny had left the island before they could witness the incident in its entirety. So we don't even know what happened in the island. Yeah, that's true. That's one of the mysteries I am curious about, and I hope we see it at some point. I'm sure we will see it, but it's what I'm looking for. Manakoye. The other island that looks like it got hit by the same weapon is perhaps Ennis Lobby, since that too is a massive hole in the ocean. See, this is interesting, right? This is an interesting theory. That is very similar to the one in Luitia, though some of the island remains. And of course, with it being close to Water 7 and long ring, long land, the sinking there is more prevalent. Yeah, this is an interesting theory. I don't know. We don't have enough to go on here, but it is definitely an interesting theory. Okay, yeah, this is where it was. Kismet. Do you have any guesses on who the person in the frame Emu is looking at could be? Well, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. There's just too many variables here. Mother, daughter, lover. a combination of those things, as Targaryen as that sounds. Inspiration. I think if we're going to make an educated guess here, this show is about a lot of things, but one of the things this show is about is heroes, icons, archetypes, hero worship. What if the person in the painting is somebody who is a hero of the time that Black Hoodie looks up to, was inspired by? Maybe the leader of the world government who was opposing Joy Boy, maybe she had powers. She could stomp some ass. And maybe she's the one who defeated Joy Boy at the end. I think this is a show about heroes and archetypes and icons and, mythology. So I think what I'm saying is much more interesting than, oh, yeah, I used to hit that 800 years ago. Yeah, that was my lover, I don't know. But you could be in a time of uncertainty and you're not sure what you're doing is going to work and these people are opposing you and this is Joy Boy. And we defeated Joy Boy before this person maybe defeated Joy Boy. I could see you going over to the painting and looking for inspiration and motivation from your hero who did this in the past. Maybe you were a kid when this happened. And this is the person you looked up to. It could be a mother, but I think the mother part isn't what would matter. What would matter is the inspiration, the motivation, the icon, the hero. That it would fit narratively with the story, thematically. So that's my throwing a dart at the wall, because we have no way of knowing. And finally, Power of Death. God Valley did vanish 39 years ago. It's where Kilma escaped as a slave. Garp Roger fought against the Rocks pirates. We don't know if it disappeared, but apparently it did. Here's my thing. It's weird, some of the world building here has never made sense to me, and I mean that in a negative way in this particular case. The whole log post thing, and we can't find this island unless we have this thing that points to the island. I just don't buy that. I know that the ocean is big, but we had people, the Pacific Ocean is big as hell. If you're an alien and you're approaching Earth, and the Pacific Ocean is the side you're approaching, you're going to think it's a water planet. The entire hemisphere is water. But we had Samoan dudes 4,000 years ago getting in boats and navigating to other islands. And they had a way of figuring it out. They were looking at bird migration patterns or some shit, or the way the currents were going. There must be an island over there. Let's go over there. They had that shit on lock 4,000 years ago, man. Now, they were way advanced, more than any other culture. It took the other cultures thousands of years to catch up to them. But that's all you need is one culture. And so I've never, and I mean this as a negative, it's one of the few things in the world building I think that he just got wrong, unless I just don't understand enough about it, I don't believe that you can only find islands if you have a thing that points you to the islands, man. Maybe it takes you longer, but you just do a grid search. You have a map. Okay, there's this island we know for a fact is over here. The red line is over here. We know for a fact this island is here, and we know that island is there. So you've got the area of ocean inside those 4 points of reference. Do an effing grid search. Each sector. You're going to find every piece of land in that circle. You just need to do a grid search based on some points that you know exist, and you know where they are. The red line is a really good example of that, because it's rock solid. It's there. There ain't no getting rid of that. You can see it for a long way away. Look at the sun. Look where the red line is. You know where north and south is. You could do a goddamn grid search. I just don't believe that, man. Especially if you have more than one ship. You could find anything you wanted to find. I don't believe this. Well, we can't find this shit unless we have the pond grifts and we got to put them in a certain order. The 4 red ones. Or we have a log pose that has a magnetic... that's just not the way navigation works, man. That's not the way mapping works. I know it's magic, and I know that some of these islands move, but a grid search is going to find it wherever the hell it moves, unless it moves out of this circle. We're going to find everything in here. So as long as you know which hemisphere you're looking for something, the One Piece is, if you had a big enough navy, you could grid search the entire planet, But yeah, I know there's dangers out there, and you'll run into people, and you'll run into creatures and all kinds of shit. I get that, but if somebody wanted to, if they were heavily financed and they had a large enough crew, they could do it. Even a small crew can find one place, man. So I just don't buy it, right? So that that part doesn't make sense to me. We move on because like you have to accept certain things if you're gonna enjoy a story. You can't get hung up in these bullshit details, right? Like you can't enjoy Lost if you don't understand the fact that the island can heal somebody. Like you just can't enjoy the show. And yes, it's magic, but they're asking you to buy it, and so you buy it, right? It's whatever. You have to buy it or just don't watch the story. So I buy it. It's fine. But I'm just saying I do think this is a mistake. So having said that, with the game, with the world building rules the way they are, as long as you don't have a log post pointing, like you make it, like I said, unplottable, which what I'm saying is no log post will ever point to this island no matter what. And people can only get there if they have a log post, then the island disappeared. It doesn't matter if it's blown off the face of the earth or not, right? Do we even know, like with Luisha, for instance, would a log post still point to that location? Because I don't know what it's actually pointing to. Is it pointing to a solid piece of ground above the ocean? And as long as that piece of ground is still above the ocean, it would point there. But now that it's gone, it won't point there anymore? Or does it point there and you get there and there's just nothing there? That would be interesting. But, so, God Valley could just be unplottable. They could just have magically made it where nothing will ever point there. The only way you'd find it is a grid search. Which may be how they find it at some point. Either we're going to get a flashback to tell us what the hell happened, or they will stumble upon it, and that'll tell us what happened. There'll be a record there of what happened or something, right? Evidence, One way or the other, I think that's going to play out like that. Alrighty, well, I think we're all caught up in all the comments and questions and stuff like that, so let's go ahead and get to the rewind. Alright, here we go for the rewind. I just finished watching the episode, so for once, I'm not going to wait a week to do a rewind, so it's all fresh in my mind. Let's go ahead and get into it. The Void Century, a revelation about a sinking world. So, I didn't recognize any of the Japanese, that's why there's no names. I'm only going to recognize the names. Or maybe like Sayonara or something, To say something nice, and this may just be the pacing of the manga, which I'm sure it is. They're doing a good job rotating through the storylines. We have her. We have Jinbe and Zoro. We have Nami and that crew up there. We have Edison. We have Luffy and the Giants. Bonnie and Frankie and those people over there by the ship. And then we have the elders, who are doing their own thing. And then we have York, I think, is the trader. That's a lot of different storylines that are different places that we have to have screen time focused on, right? And so we seem to be hitting 3 or 4 of those per episode. Because I just did the rewind for the last episode, and then I just saw this episode on the heels of that. And for instance, we didn't see her in the last episode. Meanwhile, in the last episode, we got a lot of Luffy, but we didn't get any Luffy in this episode, right? So, they're doing a good job kind of rotating through all the storylines. The pacing's really good that way. And that's just the manga author. After 25 years, he really knows what he's doing. He knows how to make all this shit flow. So, looking good. I don't really care about this dude, but I do wonder what's going to happen when she releases him. He's probably going to try to kill her, They're trying to make it ambiguous, right? Because, maybe he feels bad for her. He's been listening to her conversations. I don't think he cares. He's an asshole. He's a sociopath. He's going to jump up and try to kill her. Or he's going to jump up and go after the others. So, keep this sumbitch locked up. I already talked about her during the reaction. She needs some free will. She needs to utilize free will. She's just sitting around waiting for people to tell her what to do. That ain't the move, Chief. Free will. Look it up. So, that's going to be her journey in this episode. So, there's not much else to say beyond that. I said it all during the reaction. This is what I was talking about. Her first line of dialogue had such a nagging tone to it. It's such a very Nami delivery. We've seen it many times. She is the den mother of this crew. She's the same age or younger than them, but she's the den mother. And the way she go back into this episode and listen to this. I can't play it here. because they'll block me or whatever. But go back and listen to it. I just love it. Jinbei, Mada, basically is what she says. She raises her voice with the second word. Where are you? Right? Like, you can say that many different ways, right? Like, there's one thing I love about voiceover and just acting in general. There's so many different ways to deliver the same line of dialogue. This one, even though we don't understand the language, we know what she's saying. There's such a nagging tone to the way she delivers this specific line. His answer makes perfect sense. Just love. I can listen to that forever. That's so good. That's why he starts off saying sorry, because there's such a nagging goddamn tone to that. She is the den mother, man. She really is. Get your ass up here now. We're tired of waiting for you. He's like, you don't need to apologize. We're running as fast as we can. He's not. You're not running, Zoro. He's carrying your ass. But yeah, I agree. You don't need to apologize. And she's like, did you say something, Zoro? I'll kick your ass later. See, watching the during the actual reaction, I didn't catch what Zoro said, but he said something she didn't like. Yeah, that's what it was. Did you say something, Zoro? She's so clearly irritated, but we already knew that from the way she delivered that first line. That was what was so good about it, man. It's the little things. It sets up the entire scene. She's just sitting there going through her different phone calls. She's going to call Luffy next if she has a way to reach him. Like, Luffy, where the F are you? Yeah, and look at him. He seems intimidated by her threatening to kick his ass. So, this is what I was talking about. This overhead shot, this particular shot here, and I see now, I was looking at the water before, it looks like we're looking over the shoulder of a giant or something. Or maybe the ship, it's hard to tell. This particular shot, something about it is perfect. The other shots are good. They're not this perfect. The water, this looks photorealistic. Just the water. The rest of it clearly looks like animation. The water looks like they just took a camera and pointed it at some water. That's so well done. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. See the way it's moving? Like, that is just perfect. Now, this is animated. This looks like animated water, right? This looks like animated water. This looks like real water. So, that one great shot is perfect. You don't need every shot to be perfect, but if you can have a few perfect shots in there, it sets the tone for everything else. See, like, this overhead shot's completely different. It's fine. But the other one was perfect. Somehow they just nailed it. They're setting it up, man. This is going to be close. I think once Zoro and Jinbe get here, they're going to take off, because I think Luffy's going to go on the giant ship. He's with the giants. He's just going to jump on the giant ship. And I think they know that, or they'll be told that. So we're just waiting for Jinbe and Zoro here. And then Luffy, they're going straight to the giant ship. Bonnie's at the giant ship. Frankie's there. So those people get on the giant ship. We'll reconnect later, right? I just realized, I thought she put the body on the Thousand Sunny. She put the body on the giant ship. They're at the giant ship. She's there, Frankie's there, and Bonnie's there. So that's where she put his body. By the way, for a few minutes I was thinking that, like, he had put a clone out there. I was talking about this during the reaction. Vegapunk had a clone, but no, that's not what happened. But and this body is too dead to put the consciousness back into it. Like I said during the reaction, it's been 12 minutes already. He's dead. So, and the body's damaged anyway. So if you put it back in, he would just die again. So yeah, he's done. Unless there is another clone body out there you can put the consciousness into. Because the consciousness kind of feels like a Chekhov's brain situation. Like, you can actually put it back. What is life and all this stuff? We're having these conversations. So what if there is another receptacle you can put this brain into? The consciousness. Reload his consciousness into something else. Maybe the robot. More likely there could be another body floating around here somewhere. The only problem with that is the entire island has been destroyed, so it'd have to be somewhere else. And why would it be? It'd probably be on the island. So now then, you had all the people that escaped. The scientists and assistants escaped. Maybe they took a clone Vegapunk body with them. That's possible, because that ship did not get destroyed. So that's possible. That's the only thing I'm thinking of at this point. Any way to bring him back, Then again, you wouldn't have a transmission if he was going to come back. He would come back and talk. So I think the transmission means he's dead for good, from a writing point of view. Am I imagining things, or is this a visual reminder that he had an apple on his head? Yeah, this is one of his clones. Just a doesn't mean anything. It's just a visual thing. Hey, by the way, her head kind of looks like an apple, just the way his did. Yeah, just a little artistic thing. I wonder if that's what's going on there. I like that these giants are just manhandling this son bitch. I'm gonna grab your tail. I think is what he's grabbed. Either his tail or his cloak. You geezer, don't give us trouble. These guys just have a way of talking, man. Now, I was wondering when I was watching this. What I was afraid was going to happen, you have her attacking from the left, him attacking from the right, and both at the same time. They both make contact with the geezer at the same time. I was worried they were going to hit each other. Because he would get out of the way, they would just make contact. It's dangerous to coordinate an attack with people you've never fought with before. That's not what happened, but it was on my mind when I was watching this. They both make contact and he just blocks them. So, not a big deal. But, they could have easily hit each other, right? Or he could have hit her with the club or something, right? That's a great shot, by the way. She's leading with her left foot. He's got his club, and neither one of them is a problem for this dude. I can't tell because of my hearing condition who says this. A life form has been detected. His mouth isn't moving, so I'm assuming somebody told him this, and that's why he runs away. But I can't say for sure because I don't recognize the different voices. Wait, but then he goes after her. No, I think it's just a life form has been detected. He gets the information, but he wants to try to kill her first. Unless we're saying she's pregnant, which would be very dark considering her age. So I don't think that's what we're saying. A life form has been detected in her belly, I like how she goes a little girl voice here. Yep, he's got her. I never thought I would say this, especially considering the way he was when we first met him. Frankie feels like he'd be a good father. Another one of these paternal, strong, giant type, kind fathers, right? I think so. So, do you think that is a robe, or is that just the horse skin? You see that it's just kind of frayed at the bottom, where we can see the stomach or the rib cage, right? It looks like the front paws and back, or the front and back legs are both, bones. So is that just like a riding blanket over a completely skeletal horse form? It looks like the only thing left of the horse is the tail. Is that a riding blanket, or is that just what's left of the skin? That's open to debate because it seems to match the upper part of his robe. I think it's cloth, is what I think. I don't think it's skin. I think it's cloth, but it's open for debate. How long are you keep talking, Vegapunk? He probably recorded an hour-long thing, counting the time delay, right? We're not going to get nearly that much, but that's what I bet he did. It ended, leave him behind. The incalculable, irreparable ravages of war. This attack is unbelievable. He just cuts the entire bottom of the lab flames. I assume the mother flame and the power plant are at the top. I don't remember the diagram, but I think that's what happened. He just cut the whole basement out. This dude, they're all very powerful. I mean, it's kind of terrifying if you think about it. I've told you before, he's my favorite elder. This looks like blood on his blade. The blade is incredible. It's one of those 12 blades, I'm sure. Like, there's no question in my mind. I want to see Zoro fight this dude. It won't be here and now. It'll be sometime later. Zoro will fight this subbitch. This is one hell of a revelation. We are now living on pieces of what were once continents. That's crazy. That is crazy. These people at least understand the implications. You notice one person that's not overreacting here? Dragon. Do you think he already knew? Or is he just, he's got a great poker face? I wonder if he knew. Because he was friends with Vegapunk. I'm sure Vegapunk at least talked about some of this with Dragon before. So, he's acting like he knew. There's a point to this. Tell me later, I'm going to check on the Tangerine Field. We still have to go about our daily lives. Even in the worst of times when, because these people are not going to be the ones who solve this issue. So, we have to keep businesses running. We have to keep life moving while other people solve our problems. That's a shitty interpretation of what he's trying to say. I think what he's really trying to say is life has to continue no matter how bad things are, which is a good message. No matter how bad things are, well, if you're very unhappy with the state of the world or whatever, you still have to get up and you still have to brush your teeth and you still have to cook food and take care of your loved ones, go to work, make money, whatever. Right? You still have to do your shit, no matter how bad. You can't use the world sucking as an excuse not to get your ass out of bed. That's kind of what I think the messaging is here. Like you guys shouldn't be listening to it. It's too late, man. The genie's out of the bottle. That's a hell of a revelation about the 200 meters. By the way, that's did they say the ocean only has to rise 6 inches for like half the cities to be flooded or some shit? That's 6 inches worldwide, right? I don't know. 200 meters is insane. Of course, the scale of this series has always been insane, right? That mountain is exactly 200 meters high, so that's how much the water's going to rise. Well, at least we have a visual cue, right? It stands to reason that the cause would be an unexpected natural calamity, but he proves that not to be the case. But I'm certain it was a man-made disaster, exactly. This is the point at which I had to. The first time he was explaining this, I didn't catch it because I was laughing at this moron being so melodramatic. I love this little. There's a little 30-second comedy bit here. First, she's got her hand over his beak. Shut the hell up. Then she puts the finger to her mouth. She's serious. Shut up. She's still got her hand on his beak at this point. He knocks the hand off his beak. And he starts talking shit, right? He only gets 2 sentences out. He would have been happier with her hand on his beak than what happens next. You see the fist behind him, right? Knock him the hell out. You just got knocked the F out. This is great, man. This may be my favorite part of the episode. Hilarious. She's grown a lot in the last 2 years. It's starting to feel like everything's coming together, doesn't it? The whole plot. This is such a crucial storyline. Everything's coming together. These disparate bits we've been learning about. We learned about her being able to talk to the sea beast hundreds of episodes ago. Then we learned about Pluton, the battleship, and apparently they have the third weapon. But like we've been hearing about this for so long, the Pongriffs and all this other shit. So now I'm starting to wonder if the One Piece is actually something that can prevent this disaster somehow. I still think it's knowledge. Until I'm proven otherwise, I'm going to believe it's knowledge. But maybe it'll be not within that knowledge will be the knowledge of how to stop this disaster, right? Who is this? This is clearly in the dark for a reason. It kind of looks like Vivi, doesn't it? It must be some woman who is his antagonist in the first war. Maybe even Joy Boy or Joy Boy's wife or his mother or whatever. Joy Boy, it's a name. It doesn't necessarily have to be an indicator. Joy Boy could have been a woman for all we know. It's kind of like, Mary Sue is a label. It's not a description of the person's gender. They even say, oh, he's a Marty Stew. Marty Stew's a male counterpart of Mary Sue. No. Mary Sue's a label. It has nothing to do with boy or girl, man or woman. Wesley Crusher is the biggest Mary Sue in the world. He's a boy. Mary Sue doesn't. It's a label. It's like peanut butter. It'd like be trying to attach gender to peanut butter. It's just a label. That's all it is. So Joy Boy could just be a label. The boy part of it is just a name. It's a label. So Joy Boy, the first Joy Boy could have definitely been a woman. This could be it because this looks like a woman. I see in tits. But, a lot of anime faces are similar. It kind of looks like Vivi. I don't know if the hair is right, but, it's very interesting. I wonder who the hell that is. Could even be his mother. Maybe he was fighting his mother back in the day. Different ideologies, right? Yep. Out of all the road to hell is paved with good intentions, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Power corrupts. You're trying to create a power source that can help the future growth of this world's industries, but power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Is this that some bitch that should have blown up, but he didn't? He survived. I think it is. I wonder what the analogy for the mother flame is here in the real world. We talking nuclear power? Is that what this is? Probably. He created the mother flame. I thought the mother flame was the weapon, but it's just the power source. That's kind of interesting. What's interesting is I've already mentioned how there's some other island got destroyed, like Luitia did. I don't remember details. People remind me in the comments. But by the time I do the Q&A for this rewind, they will have already reminded me of the comments. So it's interesting I'm recording this before the Q&A for once. But yeah, so the first part of this video, I'll already be talking about that, I assume. But yeah, the word really hasn't gotten out because it's only been a couple days, right, since Luitia disappeared. I don't know. I think it's been like 3 or 4 days at the most. It hasn't been very long at all. So people haven't gotten a word yet. You would need ships going there, seeing nothing there, and be like, "Well, they used to be here. What's going on?" I wonder if the log post would even point to that island anymore since it doesn't exist anymore. That would be interesting. Also, while we're on the subject, that may explain why all the weather patterns are so weird because magic is like messing with the environment worldwide. Oceans are rising and shit because of magic, we assume. So that's why all the weather systems are so whack, especially on this side of the ocean. This is kind of funny. This is a short exchange I didn't catch during my reaction. The kingdom of Luitia is gone? We haven't received such information. Verify it immediately. Yes, Your Majesty. Go find out. I guess we're going to send a dove over there to find out. Or somebody who can fly, right? I have absolutely no idea who carried it out. Sure you do. Give me a break, man. Why are you not putting them on blast? Just say the elders. You know? I guess he doesn't like to speculate. It's just not the scientific method to speculate. We know who the hell it was. And I was about to say, wouldn't it be interesting if it wasn't the elders? But York says in a couple of minutes she gave the Mother Flame, the piece that she stole, directly to the elders. So we know it was them. It was them. She didn't give it to some third party or she would have said that, right? The artificial catastrophe that once sank this world has shown to be possible. I say again, I was talking about this with Hunter Stone in the previous rewind. Do the elders and Black Hoodie, do they want everybody to die? Is that the point? I don't think so. He seems to think so. I haven't heard his response because I haven't posted that yet, but he seems to think so. I don't think so. But this seems to imply if the weapon's going to be used again, it's going to be used with the intention of killing all life on Earth. Earth. You know what I mean? So that would imply they do want to kill everybody. They're just insects. Let's just kill them all. Well, to what end, though? To just have an empty world? Just the six of you hanging out in this world, nobody else here? I don't think so. I don't think that's what they're going for. I don't know. But, Vegapunk seems to at least be implying he thinks that's what's going on. Then Pluton is, and then he headbutts him. You're not supposed to headbutt your emperor, you dick. Him and Bonnie would be a good hookup. They're both about the same age, right? I think he's even younger. He's like 8. They'll get life experience and they'll start to match what they look like. But, of course, he looks like this all the time. She can only change to that, right? So, still, I kind of ship it a little bit, Maybe, obviously, a friends first situation. But they're the only two people like each other in the world. So, this is an interesting question, right? I said it before. What if Joy Boy was evil? Why would he do that? Did he want the world to sink more? Well, maybe the weapons can be used for more than just sinking the world, I still don't understand how to be able to talk to sea beasts can help sink the world. See, the battleship makes sense, and whatever this other island destroying weapon is makes sense. Yeah, the sea beasts are large, but we've seen in this very story arc that they're not really that powerful when it comes to modern technology. We got Horse Boy able to just slice and dice. He can run around slicing them up. They were able to shoot the hell out of the sea beasts. The Pacificists were able to take out the sea beasts until their programming got changed. Like, the sea beasts aren't that powerful. They can't even beat the regular Navy. They were going to get their asses kicked. And most of them did. And those were modified. Those are sea beasts with, like, weapons and attachments and shit. So, one of these things is not like the other. If you're trying to win a naval battle, and you have some ships and the sea beasts come out of nowhere, like, especially if you're fighting against pirates instead of the Navy, it makes sense that this is a strong weapon to have on your side. When you're talking about ending all life on Earth, what the hell are the sea beasts going to do? They're fish, right? I don't know. So that part doesn't really make sense unless there's like a insanely huge monster somewhere with his tail coiled around the center of the Earth or something. Other than that, I don't know how being able to talk to them is equivalent to like a battleship in an island destroying weapon. One of these things is not like the other. There will be a time when all the answers come clear. Yeah, there will be. That's the author speaking directly to us. Yes, there will. And this son bitch, he's eating his feelings right now because he's so nervous. It's amazing. I used to hate this dude. Retirement is good for anybody. Even if Lava Bitch retired, I might not hate him as much anymore. Probably would, but still. What is he eating here? I can't tell. No idea. But it seems to be some kind of. He tends to like crackers and chips and shit like that, so it's something like that. And where is he going, by the way? Do we know? I can't remember. It was stated a long time ago. He's on a ship traveling somewhere with her, but I just don't know where. Maybe to Eggland? I'm not sure. Yep, this is confirmation that he knows, Lava Bitch knows. Also, what's interesting, there are people who have learned all the truth. He's talking about the elders in Black Hoodie. Why doesn't he put them on blast? Maybe that's the end of it we're not going to get to, because the transmission is going to be cut off. But I'm intrigued by him him refusing to put the elders in Black Hoodie on blast. He knows they're bad. He knows they're behind this shit, but he won't do it. That's very curious, right? Like I don't understand that. Oh, I didn't pick up on this. The King of Pirates crew, they all know everything. So they show us two of them. The guy with Laboon and then Silver Raleigh, right? They know everything. So people are going to be seeking these dudes out, man. So I heard you know everything. Yeah, everybody's like, what? So melodramatic. Here's one of them. I don't know that he knows everything. Wasn't he just like a cabin boy or some shit? Or the doctor? I don't know that he necessarily knows everything. And he seems like he's too old to know everything anyway. Yeah. Like, speaking from a little bit of personal experience, once you reach a certain age, your memory ain't as good as it used to be. If it ever was good. So, I don't have much confidence that some bitch can tell you anything. This was an interesting line. The synchronization was turned off, so they can individually turn it off and do things without everybody else knowing. Which, again, could be why Stella was able to record stuff without people knowing about it. But it does seem like she knew. But she didn't know where he hid it. So he turned off his synchronization, assuming that I assume what he does, they can see. And what they do, he can see. He turned it off so he could hide it without her knowing exactly where it is, because she doesn't know where it is. The timeline doesn't add up. She hasn't figured out that if he knew about the volcano because Luisha got destroyed, he knew that Luisha got destroyed, then he's recorded this since Luisha got destroyed, and that's been less than a week. She should already know what the timeline is. Because I put that together, and I'm not a genius like she is. She should know what the timeline is. She's not thinking, she's running around. She's just starting to think right now. You knew what the government would do. But if that's the case, it's a totally different story. He wouldn't do something half-assed like just hiding a transmission transponder snail. Yeah, he would use his whole ass. He's trying to prevent the elders from finding it. He's going to use his whole ass. That is for damn sure. So here she is telling him where it is. Bitch. I know one thing. She'd better be right. If she's wrong, they're going to kill her. Because they are fed up. If she's wasting her time, they're going to kill her. But I think she's right. Protected by the Iron Giant. Wait, so it's not inside the Iron Giant? What's the Fabrio phase? Fab-Irayo phase. I want to Google that just to see what the word means, but it'll probably tell me what it means in relationship to the series, and I can't do that. The hell is a Fabrio phase? So, maybe it's where the Iron Giant was. Originally, he got up and left. Or he's walking over to it to protect it. Or I thought it was inside him. I thought Vegapunk put the snail inside of him. Because he's indestructible. Maybe not. I didn't really make the context, because I don't think you're saying that the Iron Giant is a Fabrio phase, or you just say it's inside the Iron Giant. That's not what you said. You said the snail's in the Fabrio phase, protected by the Iron Giant. But the Iron Giant's on the move, so he's either left the Fabrio phase, because he's got a new mission, or he's moving towards the Fabrio phase, whatever the hell the Fabrio phase is. Hang this shit in the Louvre. I mean, it'd get stolen, but until it gets stolen, this would look awesome in the Louvre. That's a great sell right there. Why did those who learned the truth fade away without telling anyone anything? That's the thing, right? They must feel like the information is dangerous enough that in the wrong hands it would cause more trouble than it would solve, right? This whole thing about Raleigh, like I've already ranted about that in the reaction. Oh, let the young people find out for themselves. That doesn't make any damn sense. So, I get what he's saying. Back when he first had a conversation with Luffy, I get it. Like, that was fine. I had no problem with it. Now, we're talking about the end of the world here, man. So what are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. I think that they think the information is too dangerous for people to have. That's what I think. Why didn't they act on it? Maybe there's no way to act on it unless you have the right devil fruit, like Luffy's fruit. There's no, maybe that's it. Maybe there's no way to act on it unless you have Luffy's fruit, and nobody did, so you can't do anything. Yeah, I have nothing else to say about that moron. Right, Roger? The youth should have their fun. Yeah, it's so much fun having the world in. Thank you so much for that. I don't know, man. So I wonder if this gives us any context for the robot saying, "I'm sorry, Joy Boy." Like, if he's moving to the Fabio phase to protect it, that could be why he's saying he's sorry. If he's moving away from it, I don't know. Maybe there's no extra context there. We'll find out. Like, I've never doubted we'll get the answers. I just don't know, how long it's going to take. So hopefully these are a lot of, everything's starting to come together. We're getting some serious answers here. So this is some really good shit. Yeah, can't wait for next week. And it's actually a week from now that I can say that. Where before I've been saying it and I had 6 hours to wait. So I'm glad I knocked this out on Sunday the 9th when this episode actually came out.